You walk to a farmer's market and are greeted by the hum of a local musician. You look around the hustle and bustle of families walking around with their reusable bags. You taste the fresh crunch of an apple wedge. As you float around space, you are entranced by the sights and smells of seasonal organic produce. But now I want you to stop and think. What do the people in this space look like? What are they wearing? Are they representative of what our communities look like? And more importantly, who is not present? I want to challenge the presumptions we have about who can and is involved in the environmental movement. We need to change politics of environmentalism and acknowledge a more inclusive definition of activism. My name is Lauren, and my friend Jinno and I share passion for the environment. We decided to start a club our senior year of high school called the Sustainable Urban Pioneers. We wanted to create a platform for students to learn more about environmental issues. We led succulent sales, we held educational workshops, and we even built an aquaponics garden. When we graduated, we were glowing with pride and excitement. We thought that we had really made a difference, and we were so eager to continue our journey forward. However, in college, that changed for me. When I told people that I'm majoring in environmental studies, I've had people laugh, scoff, say, "In this administration, what are you doing?" I even started to notice more serious cultural differences. Coming to university made me realize that I did not look like my peers. I did not come from the same background as many of my classmates, culturally or financially. I did not have anyone I could confide in about these feelings of doubt and feeling out of place. And I had trouble bridging my cultural identity with my interests in sustainability. I would walk into a group, I'd be so excited to join a club, and look around and no one looked like me. No one could communicate the same things that I can't tell because these are my lived experiences. So trying to find an alternative outlet, I came across Project Green Challenge. I thought to myself, maybe this is an opportunity to revitalize that passion that I had in high school. So I asked Jinno if he wanted to participate together. And even though we were going to schools more than 3,000 miles away from each other, we once again became the Sustainable Urban Pioneers. So at first we thought these challenges were going to be fairly simple, but as everyone in this room can attest to, boy were we wrong. We realized that our lives were not as sustainable as we thought they were, and there was so much more that we needed to learn. We contacted our campus officials regarding biodiversity. We tweeted our representatives concerning hemp legalization. We urged restaurants to go foam-free. We even scheduled a meeting with the mayor of Irvine concerning green cities. Through PGC, we developed a new sense of urgency to take transformative action and realize the power of our voices. But the most important realization that we had was discovering the importance of adding a cultural dimension to sustainability. For one of the challenges, we were asked to make our own version of a better burger. Inspired by my Korean heritage, we decided to make a vegan black bean and gochujang, or Korean red pepper sauce burger. I had never even thought about vegan Korean food before. Like, never in my life. But through this challenge, I realized that eating consciously does not mean that I need to sacrifice my cultural heritage. For another example, I never realized the scale of food waste issues until I came to college. Because of buffet-style eating, students often take more than what they can eat. For one of the challenges, Jinno used veggie scraps to make a delicious veggie stock. For my family, for economic and cultural reasons, whatever we could, and reducing waste was a given. Environmental activism has always been a very elite space. So when I talked to my family about why they did this, I realized they never thought their actions were related to the environment in any sort of way. We live in a society where we associate sustainable living with certain groups of privileged people and certain actions. The eco movement currently perpetuates a singular definition of what sustainability looks like and who can be sustainable. And this silences the less privileged, people of color, and those that feel the greatest impacts. I truly believe that environmental justice is social justice. Some may believe that environmentalism has little to do with social justice issues, but in reality, no single issue exists on its own. Climate change disproportionately affects marginalized communities that do the least to produce this problem. Fast fashion exploits workers in developing countries. Our industrialized agriculture system exposes migrant workers to pesticides and does not pay them a living wage. And we cannot forget the injustices that Native and Indigenous peoples have faced over land and natural resources. Historical, racial, and economic inequalities are intertwined with environmental issues. Environmental issues cannot be viewed in isolation from issues like social inequality and racial justice. We need to treat and link these issues like oppression, exploitation, and injustices as inseparable from the environmental degradation of our natural world. We need to change the way that we talk about environmentalism. By doing this, by adding a cultural dimension to sustainability, I believe that we can bring equity to our world. Minorities are traditionally underrepresented in mainstream environmental organizations, even though people of color have played a historical role in this movement. Increasing cultural inclusivity and competency can strengthen and unify this movement. Because in the end, don't we all want the same thing? Safe places for our communities and families to live, work, and play. Jinno and I want to use what we learned from PGC to create inclusive spaces to talk about environmental issues. We want to create solutions that are people-driven and community-driven and give agency to the communities that are most affected by these issues. So I want you to start thinking, how can we change the language that we use? How can we create spaces associated with sustainability that are inclusive and accessible for all people? If I show you these same photos in 10 years, what will the people in this space look like? Immediate and significant action must be taken to empower people of color and other traditionally underrepresented communities. Jinno and I realized through PGC that we're not just passionate about environmental issues. We were looking for ways to create authentic communities where every voice is valued. Because of PGC, we have taken steps to create a more inclusive and sustainable future. For me, for my entire life, I've always looked at my future as full of barriers, of things that I couldn't do. I told myself that all that mattered was that I needed to find a high-paying job to support my family and somehow repay them for all the sacrifices that they made me. But after yesterday and hearing from our speakers, I realized that if I just follow my vision, if I just follow my passions and dream big, communities will provide, partnerships will support me, the earth will nourish and feed me, and the systematic change that I can bring is worth more than any amount of money can provide. For Jinno, he has been also incredibly touched by this weekend. He came in with concerns about being discredited for being a gay person of color. But through the conversations that he had this weekend, he realized that what sets him apart is what actually makes him so special. The environment needs people like Jinno. It doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from, it needs people like him. So my PGC journey has really been a journey of self-love and acceptance. My experience has proven to me that environmentalism is a place for women, people of color, low-income people, and the LGBTQ community. It has proven to me that this movement not only needs our voices, but is one that cannot succeed without them. The fight for a sustainable future is mine, Jinno's, and yours. Thank you.